Hello and welcome back to the top 85 games for the BBC Micro Video Countdown. In this video, in at number 65, we're going to be looking at a game called Scoop. Now this is an educational game, so those of you who were at school in the 1980s and possibly the early 90s might remember playing this game, possibly as part of a sort of series of lessons at school. The game actually came out of the Computers in Curriculum project, which was based at King's College London, and it was essentially a collaboration between British Telecom and a number of school teachers from around the country, principally from Croydon and Leeds. These teachers were invited to propose ideas for software that could be used to help with classroom and teaching needs. And Scoop was the brainchild of Christina Preston and Phil Wood. So Christina was the one who came up with the storyline for the game, and Phil was responsible for coding it up. And he chose to do that in assembly language because the game, as we shall see, is very big in scope and scale. It took him 18 months actually to code it up. Obviously, he was doing this alongside his teaching responsibilities, but it also didn't help that unfortunately he had to recode the entire game after it turned out that he'd actually used the wrong storyline, which was unfortunately an older draft from Christina that didn't actually have an ending to the storyline. But yeah, Scoop was a commercial success. Apparently, it sold 10 times more than any other comparable educational game at the time. And this was certainly helped by having its marketing and support from British Telecom, who didn't only distribute the game, but they also helped in training teachers to use the game as well as a teaching aid. And in fact, it was such a success that it was picked up by the Dutch government, who subsequently adapted it for the Dutch market as well. Now, I would just like to add a little shout out at this point before we go into the game. I had a lot of help from some very friendly people on Twitter when I was looking for information about this game, as I was unable to find a lot online. And in particular, I'd like to say thank you to Bod, who goes under the handle of Piano Fire on Twitter, who pointed me to a very, very useful book which gave some good background on the game. It actually had an article written by Christina Preston herself, and yeah, that really helped flesh out the information that I was lacking on the Scoop front. So anyway, let's dispense with the introduction and get into the game. Okay, here we go. All right, so there you have it, Scoop, copyright 1986, British Telecom. So this is just an overview of the various things that you can interact with in the game. This is a text-based adventure, as we can see. There we are. There's the Computers in Curriculum project, and Christina Preston and Phil Wood. So you are a journalist working for a national daily newspaper called the Daily Gazette. So yes, this is a text adventure in which you play the role of a journalist, and basically the game unfolds as you try to uncover the scoop of the game's name. So you can obviously hear the old disk drive chuntering away there. That shows you that the game is very much a case of loading each segment into memory as you proceed. So typical text adventure, but as you can see, we've got a clock up at the top right there, and that's actually a real-time clock. So it will obviously start to tell the time as you move along, and you have actually, I think from memory, you have a certain amount of time in which to complete the activities within the game. So we've started at home. There you go, a lovely 1980s looking household there. We've got the flying ducks on the wall. Yes, what next? Let's have a look. Okay, so we can see a telephone, a television, an answer phone, a radio pager, a notepad, and a press card. So I think the British Telecom aspect of the game definitely shining through there with all the various telecommunication devices. Gosh, a radio pager and an answer phone. You don't really see much of those anymore. I wonder if we can, let's see if we can turn on the television. See what happens if we try that. It is now switched on. Okay, let's watch television. Oh, look television maybe? Ah, okay, that was an awful lot of loading just to tell me that it was switched on, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. Let's have a look at our answer phone, shall we? Let's see whether we've got any messages. Oops, would help if I could spell properly. Oh, beep. There is a message on it. Come straight to the office this morning. There's a telex about the pop star you're covering. And there is a lead too on the Charles Hinton, the recluse millionaire. Oh, I love it. A telex. Now, even I am not quite old enough to remember certainly using telexes. I think they were a precursor to the fax, but even that's showing my age because, of course, I don't really see much of faxes anymore. All right, so let's see. Let's get Notepad. I suspect we'll probably need that. And we'll get our pager. Oh, hang on. Get radio pager, maybe. There we are. Oh, we might as well get our press card as well, I suppose. Probably going to need all of those. I don't think we can take the telephone or the television or the answer phone with us. So let's see. Go to Office. What transport? Wow, we have a choice of transport. Let's go by bus. If you go to the office on the bus, it is very slow. Yes, well, I suppose that's fair. There we are. Look, a nice 1980s looking press office, I suppose. You've got the old chunky looking computers. Obviously, they look suspiciously like BBC Micros. Although it looks like someone's playing Space Invaders on the one at the front there, which is rather amusing. Okay, let's see what we can see in the office. We've got a telephone, we've got a desk, a computer, a journalist. Let's see, can we talk to the journalist? She shows you a telex. Okay. Can I read the telex? Here we go. Yes, I think a telex was possibly sort of partway between a telegram and a fax. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so Charles Hinton is thought to be flying back to London today. A photo was taken at New York Airport early this morning. It has been sent facsimile. Gosh, not even fax, facsimile. Too hot here. I want to come home. New York office. There you go. Right, so we know that this millionaire fellow that we're trying to track down looks like he's flying back to London today. All right, and what else have we got available here? Let's have a look at our desk. Okay. Oh, on the desk there is a memo. In a drawer you find a notebook and a phone card. Phone card. Amazing. You hear the fax machine working. Ooh, okay, let's have a look at the fax. It's all bells and whistles from British Telecom here, you have to say. Oh, a photograph. Okay, let's have a look at the photograph. It shows Mr. Hinton at New York Airport. Okay, so I think you're already beginning to get a feel of how the game proceeded. So this was, as I said in the introduction, very much an educational game, and I think the idea behind it was that children would be led through lesson by lesson what they needed to do, and it was very much about using the computer as a sort of research tool in order to uncover the answers. Now, from what I can remember, I think my school teacher certainly had the answers to the things that we were set to try and find out. So I imagine that the game probably came with a sort of teacher's handbook that would have told them the sorts of things that they should try and encourage the children to find out in the game. But as you're about to see, like this is, I have to say, really incredible in terms of the scale and scope of the game, as I mentioned in the introduction, because if we look at the computer, right, let's turn it on. So bearing in mind that you are currently using a BBC Micro computer to play this game, now I can use a BBC Micro computer that is currently inside the game, because if I go to oh, hang on a second. I think I haven't worked out what my passwords are. Just let's pop out for a sec. I just remembered. Yeah, I think it would prompt you for a password. So actually, if I look at my desk, I'm trying to remember. Is it on the notepad? Yes. Oh, no, those are phone numbers and a shopping list. See, I mean, already, like, it's all coming back to me. I remember that this is exactly how the game proceeded. It was all about trying to find the information that you needed. I do want to get us into that computer, though, because that really is quite special. All right, so we can't get it from there. Let's see. I thought there was something else that had, hang on. Let's have a look at notebook. There we go. So we've got two passwords there. We've got our database password and our Prestel password. We've also, as you'll have noticed, we've got a number of phone numbers that we've found along the way. You can actually use those to call people as well, which is really rather clever. But I'm particularly keen on the computer aspect of this because when you see it, you'll realize that it actually all becomes a bit meta. So let's use the computer and try and remember those passwords. So we've got Inca for the database and 7374 for Prestel. Okay, so here we go. Enter the subject of your search. So you can literally you can do a database search, which gives you all this information about Charles Hinton and anything else that you care to mention. Now, how do we get out of here? Now, the Prestel, I think this is possibly one of my favorite bits of the game because here we are. I'm playing a BBC Micro game on a BBC Micro, and I'm now using a BBC Micro inside the game in order to look at this Prestel. Oh dear, 7374 is it? Hope I got that right. Yeah, now you've got this interactive Prestel computer that you can use to do all kinds of research. And I mean, anybody who remembers teletext, I mean, look at this. You're basically using a teletext that's been built inside the game, and you can look at all sorts of stuff. You can go to travel. There you are, main index. I mean, look at all this stuff that's in here. There's so much information that you could explore. So we can go for air. Here we are. So we've got all the sort of various information about travel. Now, if I go to, let's see, Europe. Oh, hang on, that page isn't available. Okay. How about UK airports? No, can't do that one. Ooh, I'm not getting a lot of luck here. Ah, North America. Here we go. So we've got all this info, and I love the way it all reads out with the little cursor zipping across the screen there. It's brilliant stuff. Okay, let's go to USA. Here we are. So we've got all the various airlines. God, do you remember Pan Am? Yeah, so here we are. So now I think if we go to British Airways, we get the schedules. Look at this. And look, you even got the Concorde schedule. So I reckon our millionaire probably travels by Concorde. So let's go and have a look at that. And here we are, look at all this. We've got all the various flight routes, so I can go and have a look at one of the routes. There you go, look, and I've got all this information about the flights. I mean, you know, I have to say, I think this is pretty special. The fact that all of this, as I say, has been coded into into the machine. I mean, look at this. Look, it's even like a lovely little diagram of the Concorde jet there. You've got information about all this seat plans. I mean, the sheer ingenuity that went into producing this game, I think is really, really amazing. And you know, to have done all of this on basically a 32 kilobyte BBC Micro machine, yeah, it blows me away. It really does. And I mean, we're certainly not going to get anywhere close to getting even near to completing the game in this video. I just want to give an overview of what it's all about. But I think if we go back to the main, can we go back to the main menu? Let's see, page not available. I'm trying to work out how you actually get out of here. Not quite sure what we do actually to to exit from our terminal. Okay, here we go. So I pressed escape. You see, it even functions like a computer because if I press escape, it takes me back to the opening screen, and then I can come out and log off. Press any key to log off. So, I mean, obviously the game takes quite a long time to complete. I mean, this was designed, as I said, to be completed across multiple lessons, and there would be certain tasks that you would be expected to complete as a school child, you know, within each lesson, possibly working in a group as well. Yeah, I mean, the imagination and the scale of it, I think, is really, really impressive. Now, at the end of the day, it is a text-based adventure game. It has, you know, the graphics that you can see here. and it's it takes a long time to complete it. It's fundamentally an educational game, but I mean, I have to say, even as an adult, it's actually quite interesting to sort of try and play it and see how far you can get with it. And the amount of interaction that you have, from interacting with the computer and making phone calls, and there's just all sorts of details about it that I think are just really, really excellent. Now, obviously, it's fairly dated. It is a 1980s game, and there's a fair amount of even the so-called high-tech aspects of it that are feel pretty dated. I mean, even Concord is no longer with us. But I mean, that's hardly something to hold against the game. So yeah, that's Scoop. I hope that gave you a good flavor of what the game is like. And yeah, but, I mean, brilliant, brilliant stuff. And to think that it was actually, you know, devised and coded by school teachers effectively in their own spare time as well. And I don't think they were being paid much, if anything, to do the work for it. Um, yeah, stunning stuff. So, yep, hope you've enjoyed this video on Scoop. Do dig it out and have a play. I mean, even if it's just to interact with that little Prestel BBC Micro inside a BBC Micro, that's worth it all for all by itself. And anyway, thanks once again to all the people on Twitter that helped me with finding the information about this game. Thanks to the BBC Micro Complete Games Archive as well. And yeah, please join me next time for the next video. Until then, goodbye.